Hi everyone, thank you for joining. We'll just hang on a few more minutes and wait for a few other people to join, and then we'll get started. Okay, so hopefully everyone's been able to join the webinar now. So today we've got Sarah Robertson here to talk about identifying future loyal customers from their first interaction they have with your brand, how to pull insights out of existing data, and how to acquire new customers within the travel and leisure sector. The webinar itself should take about 30 minutes, and Sarah will be here at the end to answer any questions that people might have. If anyone does have any questions throughout the webinar, could you please submit them through the WebEx tool, and we'll note these down as we go through, ready for Sarah to answer at the end. If you've got any technical issues now or throughout, could you also submit these queries through the WebEx question tool, please? Okay, so if everybody is ready to start now, then I'd like to introduce Sarah Robertson, here to talk to you through today's travel and leisure webinar.
First of all, thank you for joining today's webinar. So today we're going to talk about connecting customers to create a genuine customer view, single customer view, identifying when customers are in market and future loyal customers, reaching customers at the right time with the right message, and finding more customers that want your products and services. This will cover several subjects within data-driven marketing, and especially for travel. Personally, I think the single customer view is really, really crucial to all of these things. Using data across marketing is key to success and to create ROI. I'm a great believer in starting at the beginning, which to me means data and also the customer. Putting these two things into the heart of your marketing will ensure key success, in my opinion. Before I move on, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Sarah Robertson. This is a photo of me on my favourite holiday in Malaysia. I've been working in the data-driven marketing industry since graduating with a stats and computing degree nearly 20 years ago. Over that time, I've worked across many verticals, and in recent years, I've been working a lot in the travel and leisure sector, working with such brands such as Merlin Entertainment, Flight Centre UK, Thomas Cook, Destinology, TUI, and P&O Ferries. So you can see there's quite a breadth and difference of brands, from tour operators to leisure to travel components within that. Each have a unique needs and requirements to their marketing strategy. So the building blocks of data-driven marketing all start with the single customer view. And with the GDPR getting closer, it is more important than ever to create an accurate single view of customers and prospects. Once these foundations are built, developing a true picture of your customers will allow you to further vary your marketing activities to generate greater ROI. When building understanding of a customer, I see these in two distinct areas: how they behave with you as a brand and who they are. Understanding these two key elements will allow you to amend the targeting but also improve relevance of your communication. Whilst the segment of one is ideal, it's not always possible, but getting a granular level of appreciation for your customers is key. This is only possible through the use of both first-party and third-party data to build on the limited behavioural data that many travel and leisure companies have, given the limited number of transactions every year. And as the old adage says, knowledge is power, but you can't generate revenue on knowledge alone, so therefore activation is key. So making sure that you can activate these insights across all your marketing channels is crucial. And what are the risks if you don't get this right? If you have inaccurate or non-compliant, or your matching of customers is incorrect, or you don't have the correct coverage of data, it can lead to poor decisions being made. These poor decisions based on poor insight can affect conversion because they will be weak and unreliable, can reduce your ROI, can mean that you're communicating with people at the wrong time throughout your customer journey. They can mean that you miss opportunities, but actually more importantly, as may looms closer, they can actually damage your reputation and lead to substantial fines. Under GDPR, this could mean up to 4% of your worldwide turnover. So it is really important to get all of this right. And ideally, you would collect all the interactions that a customer has with you. So firstly, let's think about what brands are trying to achieve. Understanding behaviour, putting the customer at the centre, and to create impactful marketing strategies. To enable you to put your customer at the centre, that means that you truly understand their behaviour and its impact. And from this slide, you mean that you'll be able to see that not only means understanding their transactions and their website behaviour, but how they react to your marketing. Many of you will have this in the form of clicks and open rates from emails, but how many understand truly how display works and how Facebook works at a customer level? So to do this, you need to create a truly 360-degree view of all of your customers. Once you understand their behaviour, your customer intrinsically becomes at the centre of your business, which means that your marketing is more impactful because you've got key insights on each of the customers. And when I talk about marketing, I'm not only talking about the multitude of direct targeted channels, but also it will help you inform mass marketing channels like radio or outdoor. So achieving this, as I said, means data is central. A lot of you might have the view that you've got, that I'm showing on screen at the moment, with the PPI data in terms of bookings and quotes and your CRM of events and prospects. You may even have some third-party data feeding into a data hub of a single customer view, going into analytics and campaign management environment that actually feed your execution. But actually further power can be derived by putting non-PPI data, so website behaviour, page tags, media impressions, into device linkage so that can feed into your data hub and to the DMP. Everybody realises that the single customer view is not actually a new concept. However, when we're talking to a lot of organisations, they're still grappling with this. Getting the different sources all pulled together and understanding and managing consent across different channels, understanding whether records belong to the same individual, utilising the third-party data for prospects and enhancement data to your existing channels, and also feeding that to your relevant execution platforms. There's a lot to do, and to have this single data structure is essential, because that way you can push out personalised content to the right channels at the right time to the right person. There's a lot to get right there, and without this data being accurate, you could potentially send the wrong message to the wrong person and do that reputational damage. And also, when you've only got one or perhaps two transactions a year, like many travel organisations, actually putting digital data in is really key. That will allow you to see when a customer is ready to buy from you before they actually interact with the website, with your site or with your call centre. So it will let you see whether someone is ready to buy. But there are a few considerations across this. So cookies have a shelf life, so there's a need to try and extend these as long as possible and link these to people, which is where device IDs. So obviously people can sign into the site, but that may take some time and not all individuals do that. So device IDs are key here. Storage. There's a lot of data in website visits, and data lake are the buzzword. However, actually making that data usable and putting it into the single customer view is key. Otherwise, you've got a data lake, but an insight drought, with no marketing activation on that data at all, and data held without a purpose should not be held at all. A DMP is really useful here because actually it's a digital version of your SCV with no PII data on it. Based on digital identifiers tracking online behaviour that can also link to your CRM insights where there is a link between those views. It can activate across paid media channels to target the audiences that you've identified in your data hub on your SCV to actually bid high prices for those that you really want, lower prices to those that you're not too sure about, and to tailor the creative by not only the product, but the person themselves. So let's just say that we actually have the data in a single place now. And we know that we have this single hub, but what about the customer? How do they behave? So what you'll see in front of you in this slide is a typical travel journey. People move through this phase as they experience a travel event. So first off, they're aware, they're dreaming of their consideration, their next holiday. They may be aware of your brand. They may not be aware of your brand. After dreaming, hopefully they move into the consideration and researching phase. This is where they're looking at prices and whether that trip is actually viable. We can all dream about climbing Kilimanjaro, but not all of us will. Then they will move into intent, and this is further planning behaviour. So this is where people are actually going to look at converting through that into the decision. They've just made that booking, and hopefully that's with you. So how can you maximise the value of that booking to your business? And in most cases, a travel company, people don't depart on the day that they book. So there is a time between their booking and their departure. So in this pre-visit time, there is lots of opportunities, not only to upsell, but also to keep that inspiration and that dream alive, because you may not see this person for another year. You may not have lots of opportunities to contact them with inspiring content outside of this time. And for some of you, they may be on site on an owned estate. So whether that be a cruise ship or a hotel, there is lots of opportunity within that whilst they're on site to delight that customer. And if you don't delight that customer, what will the impact of that be? And post-visit, so after they visit, this is a key period to get them to repeat. The quicker that you can get them to repeat, the more likely they are to stay a loyal customer. And reacting to any survey that you've done or any experience is key within that. You can see that the data that we have on a customer will vary across this journey. So when someone's in the dreaming and consideration period, you may have very little data. Period, you will have more data because you'll know exactly what they've booked, and reacting to those and using the relevant channels. And there are some channels, example channels, this is just an example, as I said, is key, and making sure that you interact throughout that. But actually, just because a customer has booked with you and is going to, say, Spain in 7 days' time, isn't necessarily the same type of customer who's booked exactly the same holiday on exactly the same day. So trying to understand how your different audiences across your base is crucial. Not everybody is the same, and as you'll see from here, and this is a real life example from a client, we've got audience one who are very strongly within London. There are city prosperity group, and which means they're high affluent. They're actually relatively young. You're not going to speak to them in the same way as you will do audience two, which are older customers living in the northeast. So creating a tone of voice and imagery that is unique across the customer journey for each of the different audience in your base is crucial. But how does that work? In this example, and again this comes from a true client example, this is the Mosaic. This is an off-the-shelf Experian product. You can see that the top audience, they don't really open emails. They don't really click at emails, but actually they're worth a lot of money. They make a lot of transactions. The marketing strategy for this audience needs to change to try and increase their engagement across email. Perhaps email is the wrong channel for this client, and perhaps we should be trying direct marketing. Looking at another group, domestic success. These also aren't engaging with emails, but this could be impacting on the level of transactions because their level of transactions is lower than some of the other group. Again, the marketing could change to increase the click-through rates for this audience. So here's what we did. We adapted the communications, and each of the different customer audiences got sent slightly different versions with slightly different offers and maybe different products, or maybe it's the same product but with a different image and different language. And by adapting the content for these emails, for the domestic success in this example, their open and click-through rates were actually lifted to around the average, which you'd think around average isn't great, but actually this resulted in a 27% increase for revenue for those emails for that group, which was great. So I've shown you what can be done with our off-the-shelf Mosaic package. We also have an add-on to this package which shows travel behaviour. So it can do for potential groups, prestige positions, show that actually when do they book, when do they go on holiday, so that you can have a degree when you don't know a lot about prospects. Actually, this information will help you vary your investment and potentially target people at different times of the year. This is another real life example. This actually comes from a cruise company who had 60% of their customers within these 3 Mosaic groups. At present, they treat all customers equally. All of them get exactly the same marketing strategy, regardless of who they are. But this company obviously realised it can't go on like that, and they want to change their marketing strategy to increase relevance and targeting, especially around single bookers where they have very little information. So this type of information potentially can help you change the products and services to your customers. So for example, if we look at this, you can see on the holiday type that prestige positions and senior security really do love a cruise proposition. But senior security, that's really the only holiday type that they like to go on. They over-index on that holiday type far more than any other holiday type, whereas prestige positions, they over-indexed on multiple holiday types. So they're actually, even though they go on multiple holidays, they do different things. The number of annual holidays that are taken, that varies also. Departure month, so with senior security, they're very much in the shoulder periods of May and June. Whereas prestige positions and country living, they quite like earlier holidays. And February is a key month, perhaps that's skiing. And then when do they book? So this varies as you'd expect, given when they actually depart. So this information is really useful when you don't have a lot of information on your customers already. And given the repeat purchase rate for a lot of travel companies of around 20%, this type of information is key. So what other ways can you use Mosaic and third-party data? Determining content and placement of digital marketing for both social and display. Amending regular content for first send. So brands, holiday types, departure types, offers, all of those can be changed. Variation of your channel and marketing activation. Targeting of ad hoc offers. Why give a discount when you don't have to? Some groups won't be interested in discounting where others will only buy under a discount. Improving upsell and cross-sell, especially the time between booking and departure. And changes and implementation to upgrade strategies based on potential. If you see that a customer has got higher potential, why not treat them to a room upgrade if that room's available within the hotel? So hopefully today I've shown you that building solid data foundations is really key. That will lead on to how you can understand your customer's behaviour. Then you really need to know who your customers are so that you can change the content of your campaigns to make them more relevant. Recognising and reacting to your customer interactions through digital channels is also important, and through the use of DMP and various web technologies, that's now a realisation. And finally, that will allow you to adapt all of your marketing strategy accordingly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. That was really insightful. So we're now just going to work through some of the questions that we've had come through during the webinar, and so we'll go quiet for a couple of minutes and then we'll be back to everybody. Okay, so we've had a look through the questions, but they're all very specific, so Sarah's going to pick those up individually. If there are any other questions that people would like to ask, could you now do so, please? But if not, thank you very much again to Sarah, and thank you for everybody for attending, and we'll now be ending the webinar.